We are at in Silicon Valley at the CoderDojo here, and I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Bill Liao, who's the co-founder of CoderDojo. He's come all the way from
Ireland,
Ireland.
Corkin Island.
You made some observations about CoderDojo, how you came up with the name. Can you please quickly recap that for us?
Sure. Well, first, hello, CoderDojo Tampa Bay area, or CoderDojo's Tampa Bay area. So the name, that's an interesting one. I mean, CoderDojo wouldn't have worked if we'd gone with the original name, Saturday Morning Programming Club for Kids, which is what we started with. It does what it says on the tin, but it's not very catchy. One of the things about programming is that it's a language skill. And as a language skill, you know, the way to learn a language is to be creative with it, it's to be collaborative with it, it's to work together. And when I was looking at the structure of CoderDojo, we wanted to find a structure where you would really be learning by doing and learning by doing together, sparring if you like. So the dojo part of the name actually comes from the Japanese martial arts tradition, like Karate Dojo, or in fact, Kendo Dojo, which is what my kids do. They do Kendo. The vast majority of the work in a dojo is actually about encouragement, collaboration, creativity, and learning by doing. So that's why dojo is such an important part of the name. Coder is just the coolest name we could find for a programmer.
It's an 800-year-old Japanese tradition you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, dojos have been around for 800 years. A lot of dojos around the world for martial arts are free. All the kendo dojos, for instance, don't charge. So we could see that the model's been around and it works. It's spread all around the world. There are martial arts dojos in every culture, every country. And it's about 800 years old, which is twice the age of the Western school system, which I can say, in a lot of places isn't all that effective for learning languages. And coding, as I said, is a language skill. The best coders, in my view, are poets. They combine economy of expression with creativity in language.
That's very interesting. You mentioned something about your dojos having mostly being run by 14-year-olds, and the best mentors are 12-year-old girls.
Absolutely.
Can you touch upon that? How you accomplish that?
We found that you really want to put the lunatics in charge of the asylum. Early on, we discovered that it's very easy to burn out your mentors and champions by working them too hard. And we also found that when girls come to dojo, if there's a 12-year-old girl leading the newbie table, and we run newbie sessions, that other girls coming in are much more likely to stay. And our sessions actually at Dojo Zero, which is about 120 kids, there's a newbie table where almost exclusively mentored by girls under the age of 13 who have learned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and that's our introductory lesson. So every kid that comes to dojo, they might do that 2 or 3 times. At the end of that, they'll have a website. And actually for our dojo, they'll also get a white belt, which is a USB wristband that signifies that they can actually code. And when they get that first website done, that's incredibly powerful.
In your observations, you mentioned that at least in America, the dojos seem to be burning out their mentors and running through them very quickly. Can you touch upon what you observed and how we can not do that?
So I see a lot of dojos aren't relying on parents to do all the work. And I see a lot of dojos where there's a lot of structure and the mentors are sort of given to having to give lessons and keep inspiring the kids with a new lesson, a new lesson, a new lesson. And actually, that's not the way to go about it. I mean, in CoderDojo in Europe, we have this guideline for mentors, which is ask 3, then me. That means when a kid comes with a question, you say, well, ask the kids next to you, and then ask Bing or Google together. I'm saying Bing because I'm in the Microsoft here, being politically correct. That way the kids get inspired to sort of get the information from the internet. Because for coding, all the resources you need are actually online. And if you're working collaboratively, figuring stuff out, it's far faster to find the information you want and understand it together. And building that understanding is the core of what you're trying to do. It's a pull system rather than a push system. And if you're forever trying to push kids, you're going to burn out really fast. Whereas if you pull, that works really well. The other thing I see in the US is that dojos aren't replicating themselves. As soon as you have a waiting list on your dojo, you should be talking to all the parents saying, right, you guys, you need to be doing much more work here, and actually half of you need to go. Half of you need to go and find a new venue and actually start up your dojo there. If you have it unstructured, and you have more kids being mentors, just like in Scouts, where there's a point where the kids take over what they're doing. With Dojo, you can do that very young because they're not like bungee jumping or abseiling. They're coding. It's a fairly calm activity at the end of the day, a bit of fun. So if you rely on the kids to do that and you rely on the parents to organise it, you can spread the dojo much faster, and you don't need to burn out mentors because you then just get the mentors in for inspiration and encouragement. You should be encouraging much more than instructing.
I have two more questions. One is you touched upon the CoderDojo. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So DNA is digital, and there are all these tools in the cloud now where you can actually start to assemble your own DNA, and you can simulate that. I mean, you can actually make real DNA and get it shipped to you in an organism which you can then grow. So in Cork, where we founded CoderDojo, and where there's now 20 CoderDojos budded off from the first one, the latest new CoderDojo is called CoderDojo. It's in an open source by makerspace, and we're actually getting kids to hack fungus so that it glows in the dark.
We, in the last question is, we wanted to do a DojoCon in Tampa Bay area and try to get everyone to come and enjoy the sunny weather. Do you think that's a possibility it'll happen in the near future?
So DojoCon, there's two big events for CoderDojo. There's DojoCon, which is where mentors get together and champions get together, and there's Coolest Projects, which is currently only in Ireland. It's a sponsored event where kids come and they win prizes for showing off their amazing cool projects. I'd love to see both Coolest Projects and DojoCon in the US. I'd like to see them in other parts of Europe. I'd like to see them in Asia. It's not up to us to do that, right? The dojo community in the US has to get together and really pull together and create their own conference. There's enough of you now that you could do it,
Sure.
And it'll be a lot of fun.
And that'll give us a reason to bring you back here.
Yes, or my other co-founder, James.
Absolutely. Thank you, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.